We are really excited you're watching this video. Our mission is to create some of the best business, finance, and office productivity tutorials and deliver them to you right here. Our channel is updated on a weekly basis, so make sure you click the subscribe button below and stay in the loop for interesting and career-enhancing video tutorials.
Blockchain, the technology that took the world by storm in 2017. Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency are words that pretty much everybody has come to know nowadays. They entered people's minds through mainstream media, which finally paid some attention to this exciting new technology. Well, it was kind of hard not to pay attention to a market that increased in value by around 50 times over the course of 12 months, from the mid-high teens of billions of US dollars in January 2017 to over 830 billion US dollars on 7 January 2018. These are eye-watering figures, but they only represent the value of publicly traded crypto assets, meaning currencies which are in circulation, not the entire supply, much of which is still locked away and kept by founding teams. Don't worry, we'll go into more detail about this later in the course. The crypto assets and blockchain market is possibly the fastest growing industry the world has ever seen. Of course, this has to do with the speed at which information travels nowadays, which is also unprecedented. So what is blockchain? What is Bitcoin? What is cryptocurrency? A question everyone asked when they first encountered them, often being given an obscure answer, one involving terms like distributed database, cryptographic keys, hash functions, game theory, consensus protocols, and so on. No wonder it's hard to stay focused. But if you think about it, people were once baffled by terms like domain name, website, bandwidth, and download. My point is, blockchain technology is set to reshape the future and will soon be part of everyday life, just like the internet now. And in the same fashion, anyone can get involved. We've seen people with diverse backgrounds from all corners of society getting involved with blockchain and cryptocurrencies, from the Wall Street tycoon to the average person, and even people with questionable reputation. On top of that, everyone involved has something to say about the glories or the evils of the technology. Even high-profile individuals and world leaders are trying to steer public opinion in one way or the other. Blockchain is the Internet of money, the Internet of value. Its key features, security, transparency, decentralization, immutability, and programmability, are combined in a platform which doesn't need any centralized, trusted intermediaries in order to process transactions, value, and information transfers. By doing so in a direct peer-to-peer way, blockchain creates a completely new paradigm for global business. No wonder there are so many heated opinions and discussions over it, and oh boy, can it get overwhelming. What this shows, though, is how important this technology is and what it can bring to the world. As of December 2017, Satoshi Nakamoto, the publicly unknown founder of Bitcoin, became one of the 50 richest people in the world with a net worth estimated at around $20 billion, all based on his or her Bitcoin holdings. In January 2018, the co-founder, executive chairman, and former CEO of Ripple, Chris Larsen, made an even bigger jump, becoming the 5th richest person in the world. His holdings in Ripple's cryptocurrency XRP were valued at approximately $60 billion. This catapulted him ahead of people like the founders of Google, Larry Page, and Sergey Brin, and the founder of Oracle, Larry Ellison. Only Amazon's Jeff Bezos, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, Berkshire Hathaway's Warren Buffett, and Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg were ahead of him at the time. Blockchain has the potential to fix many problems on a global scale. There is an enormous number of industries which have become stagnant, centralized, and inefficient, thereby proving unstable in their current state to grow economically, create value, or solve existing problems. What we need is a technological revolution, and blockchain is ready to lead the charge. The financial sector will be among the first to be disrupted by blockchain technology. The last major technological innovations in the financial sector, the ATM and the credit card, were introduced way back in the 1950s and 60s. Not only that, according to the World Bank, their most recent study found 2 billion people who are unbanked. That's over a quarter of the entire global population. As you can imagine, this stunts global economic progress significantly. Not to mention the unbanked people, who are mostly from developing countries, are at a clear disadvantage. It is difficult enough to increase productivity and trade within their own country, let alone transact with the rest of the world. I doubt many would consider the fees for sending money overseas for these populations as fair. Money transfer services such as Western Union and MoneyGram were charging 10% on average in 2008 and 7.5% in 2016. Blockchain technology can disrupt the status quo and bring this to a halt. It can bring new, efficient solutions, and not just for money transfers, but for global trade finance, clearing and settlement, insurance and securities trading, and many more financial services and products. But it's not just the client-facing side of finance that blockchain technology can improve. It can also streamline compliance and regulatory functions like AML, anti-money laundering, and KYC, Know Your Customer. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. The list of sectors that blockchain technology can improve is vast, including, but not limited to, accounting and audit, healthcare, media, consumer goods, logistics and supply chain management, power and utilities, the internet, and even the government. Wow! We will get our hands dirty with these areas later in the course. But for now, let me give you a little taste of the ingenious ways blockchain is already changing people's lives for the better. Do you remember the awful Chinese infant formula scandal in 2008? 300,000 babies fell victim to melamine being added to baby formula. Melamine is a chemical used to produce plastics, which you'll find in your everyday whiteboard. In other words, something you don't want to eat. When added to milk, the chemical appears to contain higher protein content. A dirty trick that led to many infants being hospitalized. The effects of this scandal were felt worldwide and destroyed the reputation of China's food export industry. At least 11 countries refused to import dairy products from China. Chinese retailers would travel to Australia and other neighboring countries to buy huge stocks of their baby formula, and the Chinese government even executed several individuals involved in the scandal. Sadly, this is not an isolated incident. Many other companies use illegal and immoral ingredients in their foods and other consumer products, often being discovered when it's too late. That's where blockchain technologies come into action. They can help remedy and prevent counterfeit consumer goods. A startup called Wabi is well on the way to resolving these kinds of problems. By combining blockchain and RFID, radio frequency identification technologies, they can track and verify the authenticity of all ingredients and components used in consumer goods. As you can see, blockchain can literally help to save the children. Another example, a company called Everledger is working to resolve the long-standing issue with blood diamonds. The aim is to track the origin of each diamond and record it on the immutable blockchain database. Similarly, other startups are aiming to solve the problems of counterfeit art and other luxury goods with blockchain technology. Gradually, blockchain technology will become part of our everyday lives, improving the way we make payments and investments. It can be incorporated into how we register our properties, verify our identity, and even how we vote in elections. Blockchain can reform the Internet, bringing about Web 3.0 and beyond. A less centralized Internet with more peer-to-peer interaction will discourage large Internet monopolies and circumvent gatekeepers. This means consumers will enjoy a less biased and more free Internet. We hope we've shown you some of the amazing possibilities this technology presents to the world. If you're still a little confused, though, don't worry. The rest of this course will go deeper into each of these topics. We will show you how it works and its pros and cons. We will delve further into blockchain applications, the potential challenges, solutions to those challenges, and how the technology is expected to evolve in the future. We hope you are as excited as we are about this technology and the brave new world we are stepping into. This is just the beginning of the next industrial revolution. Welcome to the future. Please step into the world of blockchain. Now that you have had a sneak peek into the enormous body of knowledge that blockchain technology manifests, It's probably a good moment to take a step back and go back to basics. What is money? This is what we need to define first. A brief discussion will help solidify our understanding of the mix of finance and technology we have in the world today. Basically, we're going to look at the history of money. If we can grasp how the financial sector reached its current state, then we will understand better why blockchain technology is the natural next step in monetary evolution. So, what is money? Think about it for a second. It's not as easy to define as it might seem. The textbook definition would claim money has three main functions. 1. A medium of exchange. 2. A unit of account. And 3. A store of value. If you are still lost in these definitions, we'll give you a little more detail on what these mean. So let's take a simple example of a barter exchange. You trade one of your ranch's horses for a cow. Excellent! What a deal! Now, a week later, you go out for dinner. You finish the meal, the waitress comes over to give you the bill, and you prepare to pay her with part of the cow you got earlier. Whoa, this is not going to end well. This is where you need money. Money is your medium of exchange. You often cannot trade a good or service directly for another good or service. Money is an intermediate commodity that is universally accepted and has standard value for all parties. That's why it facilitates value exchanges more efficiently than barter trade. So, is that all we need money for? Actually, there's more to it. We use money also as a unit of account, meaning we use it to compare the value of goods or services to that of other goods or services, and to record these values. Money also needs to be a store of value, meaning it maintains its value or purchasing power over time. This eliminates any commodities or objects prone to spoilage or corrosion. For example, precious metals like gold, silver, and platinum are a great store of value as their shelf lives are essentially perpetual, whereas things like milk, wheat, or iron are not such a good store of value. Another desirable characteristic of money is scarcity, which, as the name suggests, means that it needs to have a limited supply. As they say, money doesn't grow on trees. If it did, it wouldn't be money. To give you a few more examples, stones wouldn't make a very good form of money because they are everywhere around in nature. For a community of people who live on a tropical island, shells would not be a good form of money because it would be so easy to find them on the beach. Gold, on the other hand, is a rare metal, hard to find in nature, universally appreciated for its aesthetic qualities and its industrial use cases. Gold is also durable. A gold coin will not shatter if you drop it, nor bend if you sit on it. However, with the right skills and tools, it is divisible. It can be turned into other things and shared if necessary. Fungibility is another key feature of money, meaning that all units of the same denomination are interchangeable. Think about a $100 bill, which is perfectly replaceable by another $100 bill, or a bar of gold, which is a perfect substitute for another bar of gold of the same size, weight, and purity. Finally, money needs to be easy to move and carry around in order to facilitate trade, and here is the only advantage of paper money over gold coins and bars. Now let's consider the concept of money as an abstraction of value. Money is as old as human civilization, and civilization itself is reliant on possessing ways in which to exchange, account for, and transfer value. What once started as barter trade, trading goods for goods, was replaced using standardized token money. Gold and silver were the first universally accepted natural choices for money. Actually, they fit the bill so well that they were the primary form of money for centuries across the globe, and have been instilled in human culture. I bet when I say gold, you instinctively think of value or wealth. After this came paper money, a more user-friendly way to carry and move around value compared to precious metals. China was the first to adopt it in the 7th century. However, the Western world didn't catch up on this monetary innovation until Marco Polo introduced it to Europe around the 13th century. Even then, the first European banknotes weren't issued until the 17th century. It took people several centuries to accept the new paradigm at the time and shift from gold and silver coins to banknotes backed by these same precious metals as the widely used form of money. This led to the birth of the gold standard. The banknotes themselves didn't hold any intrinsic value like gold or silver coins do. Instead, paper money was backed by precious metals like gold and silver stored in a treasury vault somewhere. Think Fort Knox. The banknotes represented the right to collect said precious metals from a bank. More convenient than taking a wheelbarrow of gold bullion to the post office to pay the mortgage. This was the case until 1944. At the end of World War II, yet another related system was introduced, the gold exchange standard, under the Bretton Woods Agreement. This meant that many countries fixed their national currency's exchange rates to the U.S. dollar, which was in turn convertible to gold at a fixed rate. Not only that, but this convertibility was no longer available to individuals or companies, only to central banks. However, the Bretton Woods system ended in 1971 when the U.S. dollar convertibility to gold was terminated. So long the gold standard and commodity-linked money. Paper money is no longer backed by gold or anything else tangible, but just faith. Welcome to the world of fiat currencies. So how does paper hold any value if it's not backed by anything? Well, that's where concepts like legal tender come in. The fiat system, which we still use today, has governments assign value to a currency, declaring it a legal tender. This means a government decides whether a medium of payment will be recognized for financial transactions, trade settlement, or commerce in a country or jurisdiction. Some fiat currencies, like the U.S. dollar and the euro, are recognized internationally and used for global trade because they are backed by some of the most credible governments and largest economies in the world. To sum up, a fiat currency has value because a government uses its power to enforce this value, or because exchanging parties agree to its value. Some may even describe this as a collective illusion. It's not hard to see how problems could occur with this. Let's see some examples when the fiat currency system backfired under the control of irresponsible or corrupt governments prone to economic and political mismanagement. At the time of the independence of Zimbabwe from British colonial rule in 1980, the Zimbabwean dollar was worth about 1.25 US dollars. Soon after, inflation started creeping up and got completely out of control when President Robert Mugabe began confiscating land from the white farming community in 1998, resulting in a near-total collapse in food production and the decline of foreign investment. In order to help pay the government's expenditures, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe started printing more and more banknotes with higher and higher face values. As a result, the annual inflation rate rose from 32% in 1998 to 231 million percent in July of 2008, when official statistics stopped being reported. After that, it was estimated by international economists that the hyperinflation peaked at a staggering annual rate of 89.7 sextillion percent in mid-November 2008. The monthly peak rate was 79.6 billion percent, which is equivalent to a 98% daily rate. In other words, prices were pretty much doubling every day. In 2009, the Zimbabwean dollar was completely abandoned in favor of using only foreign currencies. Once one of the richest countries in Africa, Zimbabwe descended into economic chaos, largely blamed on its government's policies. This is an extreme example of how the trust in a fiat currency can be lost, leading to economic turmoil. In Zimbabwe, the collective illusion quickly turned into a collective disbelief. This is not an isolated example of a currency crisis, though. There are many countries around the world where local currencies hold hardly any value, and people prefer keeping their savings in the so-called hard foreign currencies or other alternatives like gold and, most recently, Bitcoin. Currently, Venezuela is undergoing a period of raging inflation of its own. In January 2018, inflation was 84% for the month, implying an annualized rate of 150,000%, meaning prices would double every 35 days. Now, the Venezuelan government has come up with an innovative proposed solution for a stable currency, the Petro, a government-issued cryptocurrency running on blockchain and backed by the country's oil reserves. The Petro is intended to be a legal tender in Venezuela, which becomes the first country in the world to issue a sovereign cryptocurrency. It remains to be seen how successful or not this experiment will be. Such a centrally issued cryptocurrency is a far cry from the decentralized nature of Bitcoin and its digital siblings. However, it should also be noted that with its actions, Venezuela is recognizing and reaffirming the great advantages and potential blockchain holds. To conclude and summarize, we have seen how the idea of money has evolved through history from a more tangible to a more intangible concept, with each stage having its pros and cons. From barter trade, we moved to commodity money, through commodity-backed paper money, all of which have some intrinsic value, onto the fiat money we use now. This was a historical journey from real goods and commodities to numbers on a computer screen representing value and money. Throughout all these stages, we had an idea of value in our mind, but it has evolved hand in hand with our civilization and technology. From something you can touch and actually use, to something you can touch but cannot use except for trade, to just an abstract idea. As you can see, the form has changed, but the idea of value has always remained the same. And we represent and communicate this idea of value in terms of money. Good, because this abstraction of value brings us to the next evolutionary step: digital cryptocurrencies powered by blockchain technology. Similar to the fiat system, this form of money has value because people believe in it. But there is more to it than just a government promise. Promises made by people have been broken many times in history. Here we have solid science, mathematics, and computer hardware guaranteeing the blockchain works as expected. Next, we'll see how the technologies underpinning Bitcoin emerged and how they were put to work together. This technology mix enabled us to have digital money we can trust without the need for any central agents or middlemen. Now, if this sounds like the logical next step for you, then stick with us, and we'll show you how it all happened. So, in the last few lessons, we gradually came to the conclusion what money is nowadays. It is an abstraction of value. We also said that the concept of money became less and less tangible throughout the years, up to the point when digital money was created. It will be great if we take some time to really understand what stands behind blockchain technology and how it allows us to create and work with digital money. Blockchain technology is commonly referred to as the Internet of money or value. But let's take this journey step by step. We would like to start by giving you a short account of the chain of events that led to the emergence of Bitcoin, the first globally recognized application of blockchain technology. The Bitcoin white paper was published in October 2008, the year when the global economic and financial crisis hit the world. Coincidence or not, Bitcoin seems perfectly designed to address many deficiencies of fiat money. Perhaps a little-known fact is that the Genesis block of the Bitcoin blockchain, where its first transaction is recorded, contains a hidden message by its creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. The text shows a headline from the British newspaper The Times, thus showing a proof of the date when the Bitcoin blockchain was launched, and goes on like this. The Times, 3rd of January, 2009. Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. Besides proving the date of the Genesis block, this message seems cleverly designed to express the tragic state of the global financial system at the time. It also implies the importance of the proposed solution as a stepping stone towards an improved monetary system. Being embedded in the Genesis block, and given the immutable and robust nature of the Bitcoin blockchain, that message stands there as an everlasting reminder for future generations. Our core goal here is to understand how blockchain functions and why Bitcoin became so popular. However, in order to do that, we need a quick recap of some macroeconomic events that took place in recent history. Since the dissolution of the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1971 and the introduction of the modern fiat currency system, the world has entered a new era of mostly freely fluctuating foreign exchange rates. National central banks started implementing various monetary policies to manage money supply in their respective economies. Monetary policy objectives may have had various nuances around the world, but a common widely accepted theme has been inflation targeting. This is done in order to provide healthy, stable, low inflation rate, facilitating sustained economic growth. By targeting low inflation rates, central banks around the world aim to create stable economic conditions, providing the right incentives for consumers and businesses' economic activity in the absence of huge price swings up or down. This strategy has had varying degrees of success throughout the years and across different countries. In the same period, there has been unprecedented credit growth and accumulation of debt globally, which led to the subprime mortgage crisis, credit crunches around the world, and the global economic recession. When banks started failing and investments in new economic ventures decreased, governments and central banks around the world realized that they needed to do something in order to stimulate the economy, and hence started rounds of quantitative easing, frequently abbreviated as QE. This resulted in unprecedented supply of new fiat money entering the economy and close to zero, and in some cases even negative interest rates, which is another economic phenomenon unheard of in standard economic theory and practice. The idea of printing so much money was to stimulate the economy and save the financial system from collapse. However, as it happens frequently, there were also some side effects of such policies. The price of real and financial assets, like global equities and real estate, rose significantly, thereby debasing the store of value aspect of fiat currency. Social inequality has also increased meaningfully since the global recession. This is again due to the huge amount of liquidity or new money supply entering the global financial system and pouring into asset classes such as real estate, stock markets, and venture capital. This, of course, inflated their prices. As these asset classes are normally accessible mostly to wealthy investors that use the services of savvy asset managers, the net effect was a growing wealth gap. On the other hand, the majority of people with little or no investable assets, whose income is based mostly on labor wages, haven't nearly experienced the same wealth effect. This has probably had implications on the global political landscape in recent years, but since political economics is not our scope here, we'll leave that for another discussion. Long story short, in the midst of such unprecedented and critical events in the global economic and financial landscape, Bitcoin was born. Parallel to the economic events we just described, the technology community has been undergoing an evolution of its own. Many brilliant technical minds have been working hard on solving problems to enable secure digital currency payments. In fact, the Bitcoin white paper references such prominent scientific publications as the 1957 Probability Theory book by William Feller, the 1998 research publication on B-Money by Y. Day, and the 2002 Hashcash computer science paper by Adam Back. Before we dive into the Bitcoin blockchain, we should tell you that the concept of digital currencies is not entirely new, and certainly was not invented with Bitcoin. Satoshi, the founder of Bitcoin, built his project considering and utilizing existing scientific research carried out in several disciplines. He also added a few innovative solutions of his own, putting everything together and making it work in a brilliant way. Here is a summary of some notable scientific breakthroughs preceding Bitcoin, some of which Bitcoin builds upon. In the early 1980s, David Chaum, a brilliant mathematician, published several research papers on cryptography and its applications in electronic payment systems. Then, a few years later, he founded DigiCash Incorporated, developing the eCash software which enabled users to store money in a digital format, cryptographically signed by a bank. Users could also spend such digital money at any shop accepting eCash. There was no need to open an account with the vendors or to give them your credit card numbers. In 1998, Y. Day, a computer engineer, published a paper proposing what he called B-Money, an anonymous, distributed electronic cash system based on a peer-to-peer network, where nodes, the computers participating in the network, collectively maintain and update a ledger of transactions. The importance of Y. Day's work is highlighted by the fact that Satoshi Nakamoto referenced B-Money in his original Bitcoin white paper.